Let's talk about self-care while this finishes. What are some of your favorite self-care activities, or what would you recommend? Because this is something that you and I have gone through. We've looked at this a bunch in the last couple of years.
Yeah. Are you talking about related to work or just life or?
I think let's do work and life. This idea. Okay, so I'll go with this idea too, just to put a little bit of context with it.
Mhm.
I have a dear friend from that same leadership program that Laura Whitworth led. She's a high level executive. We were talking once, and she was talking about the difference between work life balance versus work life integration. Now that we're in this space where we have phones, you're connected to your work all the time. There's this idea of it's a balance, sure, but also even more importantly, like how if you look at your life from a work life integration, like how does work support your other life, and how does your other life support work? I think just asking that question is a really powerful question to ask, and it puts it in a different sort of paradigm and metaphor from, okay, this is my work life, this is my life. I want to keep them as separate as possible. Sometimes it's useful, like sometimes it's a really useful thing, but other times, I think it's actually more helpful to think of how can they support each other. So that's one thing, and then thing two, like when you unplug completely, what you need to do. Let's go to those. Let's go to both of those places.
Yeah. Wow, that's a really good question. We only have 6 minutes. This time went by really fast. So for the work-life integration, I think that's pretty incredible. And I think we have such a unique company in work that it does overflow into everything that I do. So whatever I'm learning here is typically also ripple effect into my life. So especially when I'm learning new tools or reading certain blogs or things like that, and it's like, these are things that I can use everywhere. Even this is funny. There's a pest control person that came to my door a few weeks ago, like during the workday. So I went down there because he, rang the doorbell a couple times. And so I'm like, hey man, like I'm working, what's up? He's like, where do you work? And I'm like, life coach training company. And he's like, do you know Tony Robbins? He's like, oh, so I get to, but it's just funny, whenever I bring up what I do, there's always a lot of questions because it is just different. So I feel like I'm bringing it into pretty much everything that I'm doing. And it's completely changed and impacted the way that I connect with people outside of my workspace. Even just our team dynamic and how we operate as a team overflows even into the way that I show up for others. And so the integration part, that in and of itself, the professional development that takes place in our workspace, I think has transformed me and made a huge impact in my life. And, I was the first remote employee for our company 5 years ago. So we went remote at that time, and that transformed a lot for me as well, allowing me to be able to move and meet people and, even in my work day. So occasionally I'll go to a coffee shop and I'll get to tell people about life coaching, so that's great. I did learn over the last couple of years to have a separate space for my work, to make sure that I have an office space. And for the first year and a half, I think I was working remotely. I had the living room or the dining room in Chattanooga, which was great. But I found it so easy because I really enjoyed what I was doing. I would come back and I'd work when I don't, when I'm off hours. And so I learned a lot from that season, and I'm really grateful for that. But, being able to have a space where I know, okay, this is specifically when I'm going to work on this stuff. Not a lot of the reading that I do and those kinds of things impacts what I do. So a lot of that stuff in my personal life will overflow into work. But when it comes specifically to specific projects or things like that, finding, okay, I need a certain space that I know that I can step away at a certain point, or I'll just keep going because it's fun. So what about you, John?
Yeah, I've been playing with a couple things, and this is almost done, which is the timing of it's quite silly, but it's life, right? Things that I've been doing the most is lately I've been stricter about my morning rules, about like what I do when in the morning times, and I've been really enjoying that. For instance, I usually get up super early, like around 4:30 my time, which is 7:30 East Coast time. So I almost like consider myself to be, even though we live on the West Coast, I consider myself to be in East Coast time, and that's been amazing. And I also have ideas of I don't pick up an electronic device until 6 a.m. my time, so 9 o'clock Eastern, and then I log in. I'm like, then I just go to town, you know. But so I have a pretty good like morning structure that I've been playing with the last month. That's been amazing. Like you know, it was okay before, but now, wow. Like I feel like it's dialing in on a deeper and deeper level. And then the other thing too, is also getting away from this idea that everything needs to change. Like, because I think there is an element of, okay, like when you, in the life coaching world, and I'm speaking directly to coaches. So just so we're all clear, like the audience is like that I'm aiming for here is coaches, and you know what I'm talking about, like that like the puppy dog stage of coaching when you're in coach training, you think, oh my goodness, this is amazing, and then you want to coach train everybody. It's a beautiful stage. I was in it for maybe way too long. I absolutely loved it. Maybe I'm still in that stage. I hope to never leave that stage, but it's a beautiful stage, and it's a stage where you feel like, yeah, let's coach everything. Let's have, like, there's a power of change. And then I think there's also like what I'm embracing now is, yeah, change is awesome. And what are the things that I not so much want to change as much as refine or cultivate or curate. And so it's almost like, what do I want to hang on to? What do I want to let go of? I think in the past I've been into this space of, oh, everything needs to change, just like, you know, do the whole thing and, you know, tear it down, build it up again. So I've been toying with that the last couple of weeks. And this morning routine, it's not so much like a whole new thing as much as a refinement and getting clearer on the internal rules that really matter, that make the difference. So yeah, I'm heading into this space of November with a ton of gratitude for you, Ashley, for the whole team, for like the trainers, the participants, the larger coaching community, the clients of the coaches. And the last thing too, I want to talk about like work-life integration, especially from a coach's standpoint, a coach's standpoint, is when I was coaching full time, when I had over 40 current clients. The thing that I've really leaned into and loved was this idea of my coaching sessions. I felt like became these islands of peace where I could go and work with my clients for that 30 minutes, 1 hour, and give my whole attention to them and really lean into that empathetic, you know, deep listening, and let my own challenges fall away. And I had a really strong schedule because I worked a lot, mostly with students, some executives, but my mornings were usually free and my afternoons were usually packed. So I had a really clear split in my work life between, okay, this morning time, I know it's going to end at noon, and then at noon, I have to switch gears and go coach. So it was admin in the morning, coach in the afternoon. It was a really beautiful schedule, and it allowed me to have a lot of clarity around my work life, which, you know, was, and we also had little ones at that time too. And so so I recognize these seasons of life, and my hope is for everyone listening is that the season of life that you're in, you're able to find your pattern. You're able to find the thing that works for you. And for me, it's not so much a total revamping, but more like a cultivation or a small changes that more feel like a curation rather than a complete overhaul.
Yeah, that's so beautiful, John. I feel very similarly, where I think I've been learning a lot this year, specifically of just contentment and also desiring change or refinement. And so, what do I have? Where am I at to be grateful for? What is the beauty of the current state? And then where am I moving towards, and what are the steps towards it? And and allowing that process in some areas to just unfold as well as I take a step at a time, and really enjoy the journey of a lot of those the refinement and the change, and there's so much to learn in that and to take hold of and to celebrate,
Right.
and so that's really cool. I really love that.